Today on this special Juneteenth edition of Houston Life, we are coming to you from the beautiful Heritage Society in downtown Houston. You can see beautiful homes and buildings like these behind me. They have been carefully preserved and restored. Here you can not only tour these buildings, you can experience things like reenactments and learn more about the important history of this day. Coming up on today's show, we'll learn more about how the Heritage Society is working to keep our city's history alive. We'll also meet a local artist who is using his talents to bring communities together by creating an art movement across the country. We'll also get to know the message behind his murals and how he's making an impact. And we'll experience culture and freedom through illustrated books and cookbooks. Local bookstagrammer Jasmine Washington shares her top picks for books you can enjoy reading with your kids. Plus, how one local barber's love for cutting hair and helping people at a young age turned into a lifelong career. Inside Chophouse Barber Company, where everyone can come together, feel accepted, and leave looking their best. That's all coming up today on this special edition of Houston Life. Hi, everybody, and welcome to this very special edition of Houston Life. It is June 19th, 2024. It's a federal holiday, of course, Juneteenth, and we have a lot to get to in today's program. I'm Derek Shore. Tessa Barrera is standing by. We will hear from her in just a moment. But first, we're going to chat a little bit about the history and significance of this very important holiday. More than 40 years ago, in 1980, in fact, Texas became the first state in the United States to officially recognize Juneteenth as a state holiday. Then in 2021, President Biden signed into law the federal holiday that we now observe as Juneteenth. Joining us now is an expert on this holiday. He is a board member of the Heritage Society at Sam Houston Park, Texas historian. Come on in, Dr. Don Williams. It's great to see you.
Yeah, it's great to see you too, sir.
Thank you for spending time with us today. This area just in downtown Houston has very special significance for you. You used to come here as a child.
Yes, I did.
What did you do as a child here?
Well, as a child, I just walked by and I saw all of the nice houses, and I thought that it was odd that the houses would be here and they looked so much different, and I didn't realize that it was a heritage society.
And part of what you do as a board member is to educate others about the history of not only Sam Houston Park here, the Heritage Society, but also about Juneteenth. So give us a bit of a history lesson. This was signed into law by President Abraham Lincoln in the fall of 1862. It went into effect January 1st of 1863, but Texas really didn't get the message for a couple years. What happened there?
No, they didn't. And, it actually, the emancipation was actually for the rebellious states. And here again, everybody had it but Texas. And the reason being is because the Confederate was still fighting in this particular part.
Okay. Galveston plays a very significant role in all of this. There's something called General Order 3.
Yes, sir.
So tell us about General Order 3, what it was, and where that order was delivered.
The General Order number 3 was the one that actually told all of the enslaved people that they were free. Okay, and the first place that it was delivered at, it was delivered on the 22nd Street and the Strand, which was one of the Oysterman's building. Okay, of course the building is no longer there, and the street is now called Kempner Street. So if you was going down there to look for it, that's where you will find it. The only thing that you'll find there now is the mural, and you'll also find the historical marker that tells that that's the Juneteenth Park.
The mural is beautiful. For anyone who has not been down to Galveston to take advantage of the history tour you can do down there, the historical markers, it's something I highly recommend. Talk to us a little bit about the work of the Heritage Society, because again, we are in downtown Houston right now. We're in the shadows of some of the tallest buildings in the state of Texas, and there is so much history on these grounds. The building behind us, this home, this was moved to this location. This was not its original location, but one of the homes here, known as the Plantation, is that right? That is in its original spot.
It's known as the Kellum-Noble House, which is the Plantation is just across the street. It was the only building that's originally here.
And the rest of them, the buildings were moved here.
Yes.
The work that the Heritage Society does, what really is the mission, if you could sum it up for us?
Well, they do tours of the houses and tell you about the houses. They have 11 houses here and 10 houses. They have 10 houses here, and 3 of them are actually from it's also about Black history.
The museum gallery, the exhibits, events. This is really, it seems like the Heritage Society plays a pivotal role in shaping Houston's future because, of course, we need to know our past to move forward.
Yes, it does. And I'm impressed, actually, that they actually give history of all of the areas of Houston and as well as Texas, especially when it comes to Juneteenth, because there are some places that they don't even, they wouldn't even bother to talk about it. But I'm impressed that the Heritage Society is one of them that do.
Can you describe to us when in 2021 President Biden signed this act that would make Juneteenth finally an official holiday?
Yes.
Can you reflect on that for us and let us know about that time?
Even better, because I went to Galveston at the time when Sheila Jackson Lee, of course, Al Edwards, the representative who actually, he was instrumental in getting the legislation signed, but he had passed away. And so I was there with Sheila Jackson Lee, the mayor, and a couple of other people who was down there, and they actually read the information to tell everybody else that, well, they actually read the proclamation that set it up as a federal holiday for everybody.
And what did that mean to you personally?
Well, I thought it was nice. You know, it's good that we celebrate the holiday in Texas, but I think that everybody else should know as well.
Yeah.
And it actually gives them a foot in to start studying about what really went on.
What really went on.
And why was Texas the last one to receive the award.
And for you, I mean, many of us didn't grow up learning about Juneteenth. For you now, what is your message to folks out there who are still kind of unfamiliar with this day and the significance of it?
Well, even myself, when I, as a little kid, as a matter of fact, into my adulthood, I thought Juneteenth was just another day that we celebrated. I didn't really know a lot about it. When I became a historian, then I started to dig a little bit deeper. And what I started to do is I went to the celebrations that they had in Galveston and the actual locations that they had the information given to.
Well, Dr. Don Williams, Texas historian
Yes,
and
sir.
Heritage Society board member, thank you so much for your time.
Well, thank you.
And happy Juneteenth.
Thank you, sir.
All right, now we're going to toss it on over to Tessa Barrera. She is standing by with a descendant of Jack Yates. He's a formerly enslaved man who eventually became a very important figure in our community. Tessa?
Thank you, Derek. You know, the Heritage Society is dedicated to preserving the rich history of Houston, not only preserving it, but sharing it. And you can't really talk about Houston's history without talking about the legacy of Jack Yates. It's so significant for this Juneteenth episode of Houston Life, and we're so lucky to have an actual relative of Mr. Yates. Martha Whiting-Goddard is here with us, and we're lucky enough to have a chat with her. Welcome, and thank you so much for joining us on this special episode.
Thank you for having us today here in Sam Houston Park at the Heritage Society.
Which you are a member of.
Yes, I'm a member of the Heritage Society, and we're here in the park in front of the Jack Yates House.
Now, I just learned not too long ago that this is a house that you spent some significant time in until you were 12 years old. Did you realize at the time the significance and what it would actually mean to this city and our history?
Well, yes, because it was a generational home. Our Aunt Pinky, who was a daughter of Jack Yates, and my grandmother, Nanny Yates County, they were the youngest two daughters of Jack Yates, and so they had grown up with all this around them, and then they passed it on to my mother, one of the granddaughters, and so you always had people coming in and out, and they knew so many people that you knew somebody was special.
Right.
It was Jack Yates, plus I went to Jack Yates High School.
Oh, wow. Okay, so you knew this with stories passed down, but for those people that don't know, like, what would you say if you could say to our viewers, like, what kind of man was he? What kind of stories are being passed down about your great-grandfather?
Well, I would say that he was a visionary with much integrity because of the things that he did for his community, Freedman's Town, and helping people learn how to adjust to being free.
Right?
And so not only did they have churches, but they also purchased land for Emancipation Park, and working with the North American Home Baptist Jack and his daughter, Mariah Sharkey, went around and set up churches throughout 5 or 6 counties near Houston.
Right.
So when people came here from outside, they would come to Antioch Missionary Baptist Church because they knew him and they knew his daughter. They had met them out in the counties surrounding, helping them set up churches and learn how to live as free people.
Yeah, and he was someone who obviously was a reverend, hence the Baptist church that people were flocking to. My favorite part, I think, when I'm reading the story is about his kind of rebel side, how he secretly learned to read and write and then wanted to share that knowledge with everyone else. And then getting this house erected, the first Black Houston 2-story house, was it was a huge deal to have that foresight. And I mean, what does that mean to you when you kind of reflect back on that?
Well, it shows that he was, as I said, he was a visionary, but where he came from in Virginia, his brother and his brother-in-law were part of the Union Army that came here with General Granger to free the enslaved people in Texas.
Right.
And so they helped him in terms of building this house. They knew how to do carpentry and masonry and how to work together to achieve a goal. And that's the same thing that went into Emancipation Park being built with Trinity United Methodist Church and Antioch Baptist Church. People knew how to work together because they knew if they all worked together, they could do big things.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And when you come here, this is the heart of Houston right now, and this feels like just the perfect place to celebrate Juneteenth. It's somewhere where you can come and learn about the history. And what would you tell people in that spirit of teamwork and building together? Is there any particular message you think your great-grandfather or you and the Yates family, what is your message to like the future generations and really just the public of Houston?
Well, I'd say because Jack Yates stressed God and education, those were 2 goals that he had, as well as property ownership, entrepreneurship. There were many things that he emphasized, but always if you put God first and you taught other people how to become educated so they could see they're being given the opportunity to go further. And because he showed them how to save money, to buy land, so they could prosper themselves to pass on things to generations to follow. So it's not just about you, it's about your future. And so he saw that and he knew that. And that's why he and the members of Antioch and the members of Trinity with Reverend Dibble, they worked together to put a park, to $800 together to build a park that's still there today.
Martha Whiting-Goddard, thank you so much for that important message. So important still today. And we are not done. We need to go explore, go inside this house where you spent such a significant chunk of your life in. We're going to do that very soon on Houston Life, this very special Juneteenth episode of Houston Life. But first, we are going to follow artist Reginald Adams' journey as he shares his vision of absolute equality through a series of breathtaking murals from Galveston to Washington, D.C. Each mural tells a unique and powerful story of unity and social change. Get to know the artist next on Houston Life.
Welcome back to this special Juneteenth edition of Houston Life. For 30 years, local artist Reginald C. Adams has been connecting communities and inspiring hope through his art. In fact, his mural in Galveston, titled Absolute Equality, honors the history of emancipation, freedom, and unity. And now his art has inspired a movement in other cities. Here's more on his story.
To be able to work on a mural like the Absolute Equality mural in Galveston is really a dream come true. For such an important cause, such as the freedom and emancipation of an entire culture of people, I couldn't have asked for a better opportunity or bigger platform to have a voice around such a significant moment in American history. I'm Reginald Adams, and I'm the founder of Absolute Equality Juneteenth Mural Project. The Absolute Equality Juneteenth mural project in Galveston, Texas, the birthplace of Juneteenth, was really inspired by the Juneteenth Legacy Project. It's a small group of concerned citizens who are very interested in elevating the world's awareness of Juneteenth. And so it was through their interest and their outreach to me that mural came to life. The Galveston mural covers about 500 years of history that's very specific to the Galveston area. It starts with the transatlantic slave trade, and then we move into this moment in time around 1528 when Estevanico, which was a North African Moor, he was enslaved by the Portuguese government, and he led an expedition to the Americas. His ship was shipwrecked in Galveston Bay, so he gets noted as one of the first North Africans to arrive in the Galveston area. We then feature a vignette of Harriet Tubman. Many of us don't realize that the Underground Railroad not only ran to the north, to Canada and to those freed states, but also ran south to Mexico, which had abolished slavery dozens of years earlier than America had. Then we have President Abraham Lincoln and his role in announcing the Emancipation Proclamation in 1862. And then we move further into a focal point that really brings us to that moment on June 19 in 1865, where Major Gordon Granger and thousands of black soldiers came from Louisiana to Texas, essentially to enforce martial law with what we know and now know as the General Order Number 3. And this was the document that essentially emancipated over 250,000 enslaved blacks here in Texas. And then towards the very far end of the mural, we have an astronaut looking out to this celestial landscape, raising the question, will we take these same ideas around race and culture and nationality to outer space as we think about colonizing other planets? So it took us over 1,296 man-hours to actually paint that mural amongst 6 artists. We moved about 320 gallons of paint over 27 days to bring this 5,000 square foot work of art to life. Since 2021, we have now produced 13 Absolute Equality murals across the country, including Houston, Dallas, Chicago, Detroit, Philadelphia, Miami twice. Now we're in Atlanta, Los Angeles, Washington, D.C., and Denver, Colorado. Every mural is unique to the location itself. There are stories that rise to the surface as we talk to community leaders, even bringing in the artist ideas and their own input. So every mural is unique and different, but they all speak to the spirit of Juneteenth across the country. So for example, in the mural in Washington, D.C., we chose to focus paying homage to Frederick Douglass. He saw education as the pathway to emancipation. In Los Angeles, we have a mural that's very colorful, very bright, very bold, kind of celebrating the diversity of cultures. We have a huge mural, over 300 feet long, that really kind of defines 500 years of history of black culture in Atlanta. Well, there was a moment when we were painting the mural in Galveston. I realized in the very building that we're painting this mural of emancipation and freedom, 160 years prior, my ancestors would have been traded like cargo, like cotton, like cattle. And so I saw myself as my ancestors' wildest imagination. I couldn't imagine them dreaming that 150 years later, a black artist would be painting their story on this wall. So I take very seriously the opportunity to spread this message, and I'm very fortunate to be able to use my creativity to do so. This idea of recognizing that we're all equal despite our social, economic, national backgrounds, our sexual orientations. And so I think it's really important to have such a powerful statement to remind us of what we should be in pursuit of. To see a mural turn from a mural into a movement has really been inspiring. What I hope people get from viewing the mural really is a sense of hope and inspiration. I hope it creates new conversations around Juneteenth, African-American culture, and American history. And I hope it also puts a smile on people's faces. It's bold, it's bright, it's colorful, but most importantly, I hope they're inspired and perhaps can make changes in their own community around how we can work together in the pursuit of absolute equality.
In 2025, Reginald's work will expand to 7 additional cities, transforming ordinary walls into beautiful works of art representing equality. For a link to follow his journey, you can visit our website, HoustonLife.tv. All right, there is much more to come on this special Juneteenth edition of Houston Life. Still ahead, Mel Camp takes us inside the Museum of African American Culture, celebrating the rich and diverse contributions of African Americans through captivating exhibits and cultural programs. Mel?
Oh yes, Derek, celebrating Juneteenth in a beautiful way here at the Houston Museum of African American Culture. Did you know this museum is always free whenever you want to visit, but today they do have a special performance. We're going to take a sneak peek at it coming up after the break on Houston Live. Welcome back to Houston Life. We are celebrating Juneteenth today, and right now we are at the Houston Museum of African American Culture, where this afternoon there is going to be an amazing performance. Michaela Reed is the founder of the Chocolate Box. You guys are putting on a great show.
Yes, we are. Today at 2 and at 4, we're putting on Embers of Freedom, which is our performance giving us the story of Juneteenth and how we can ignite the flame of freedom through dance, through song, and through poetry.
How does it feel for you to be doing a performance like this in Houston today, knowing that just down the road in Galveston, once upon a time, it was the beginning for a lot of people coming into this country as slaves?
It feels monumental to me, especially being at the Houston Museum of African American Culture, because we have a unique opportunity to be in a cultural treasure, actually performing for our culture with an all-black cast. So it just feels amazing.
Well, it's going to be a really special performance, so I'm very excited. We're going to get a bit of a sneak peek right now, but you have to change.
Yes.
Okay, you go do that. While you do that, we'll take a little look around this amazing place. Davinia Reed is the COO here at the Houston Museum of African American Culture. Davinia, tell us about this museum.
So the Houston Museum of African American Culture is Houston's African American Museum, right here at the corner of Caroline and Wentworth. We're a jewel and people don't even realize that we're here. We have artwork inside the museum as well as artwork in the community. We have a public art exhibition, as well as we're showing right now Mami Wata here in the museum.
Which is absolutely amazing. And this day, Juneteenth, you are celebrating with a performance from the Chocolate Box.
We are.
How important is it for you to be able to celebrate? I mean, I feel like that's a very silly question because it is, but you don't tell us about how important it is.
So for us, we want everyone to be engaged with the culture. And so it's extremely important for not just African Americans, but every nationality to know the meaning of Juneteenth, to let everyone know that it's not just a national holiday right now, but it's the time when Texas got the word that the slaves were free, when all the other states already knew.
How do you feel about that, being a woman who grew up in Houston and you've always celebrated Juneteenth, but just knowing that history?
So knowing the history, it's an exciting time for me, because when I was in college, that was 25 years ago, I was in Georgia, and when I said something about Juneteenth, my college mates knew nothing of it. Now everyone is aware of the meaning of Juneteenth, why we celebrate it, and what it stands for.
And now you are putting on a big celebration today. Of course, 2 o'clock and 4 o'clock today, the dancers will be doing an amazing performance, and we're going to get a sneak peek right now on Houston Life. I think they are ready to go.
Yes.
Our story of freedom has yet to be sung.
Though they write and correct it to sound like we are one. Forget it, that there was one ember to light the flame and run. But isn't that why they come? So we can tell them how it all began. We are the elements, chosen to protect those whose souls burn bright. But today we tell you a story on how an ember ignited into a flame. But first, you must know our names.
Your feet will be planted on fertile ground when earth is around.
like a breeze on a nice day. The winds will carry you away. Each boat must cross water to get to shore. And we are your guides to the other side. And the storm is not complete
without you.
Oh my goodness, this is going to be amazing. The Chocolate Box are performing this afternoon at 2 and 4 right here at the Houston Museum of African American Culture. And we can come anytime for free.
Anytime for free. We're a free museum right here at the corner of Caroline and Wentworth, 4807 Caroline Street. We'd love to see you today.
Amazing. Come celebrate Juneteenth here. It is going to be a powerful show. Houston Life will be right back.
Welcome back to this very special Juneteenth edition of Houston Life. We are joining you from the Heritage Society in downtown Houston. And right now I'm standing in the living room of the Kellum-Noble House. This is the oldest surviving building that was constructed in Houston. That blows me away. Allison Bell, she is the executive director of the Heritage Society, joining us now. Thank you for your time today.
Of course.
Okay, the oldest building constructed in Houston, still standing.
Still standing, built in 1847. Things were made better back then.
It's lasted a very long time.
Yes.
This was originally a plantation.
Correct.
Describe its history.
It was a plantation. This was, so we're in downtown Houston now, but this was not part of downtown. Downtown was, think about the civil courthouse and all the courthouses. That was downtown.
Closer to the bayou.
Exactly. This was further out, 8 acres. It was a brick-making plantation. Mr. Kellum had enslaved people building bricks. And when you're outside, you can see all the columns are made out of bricks and the house.
Wow, and this was actually part of the slave trade route.
Slave route project, yes. Actually, behind us is Dallas Street, but you may not know that Dallas used to be San Felipe Street, and it went to San Felipe, Texas, and the slaves walked from San Felipe, Texas to Houston.
Wow, that is incredible.
To get work.
And this is just scratching the surface of so much history that people can learn about and enjoy here. There are tours that happen.
Yes.
And the Heritage Society, founded in 1954, is that right?
That's right.
Essentially to preserve the history and keep those stories alive.
Yes, they started with this house. There were several very active preservationists. You may have heard of Ima Hogg, who was one of our founders,
of course,
as well as Birdsall Briscoe. Harvin Moore was an architect. We actually have an oral history of Harvin Moore talking about why he chose to save this house, because he knew that this was such an important piece of history. It was the first zoo before George Herman donated the land for Herman Park. It was the first children's school. It was called Fourth Ward School, and Mrs. Noble took the school over. So those wonderful people, those civic-minded professionals knew that this was an important piece, and the city wanted to tear it down, but they wouldn't let them.
My gosh, I'm so glad it was not torn down. A school and a zoo as well, who knew? We're out of time, but this home is on its original foundation, one of 10 structures down here. A lot of these other structures were moved into the place where they are now,
correct.
But this home is where it always was.
Yes, this is it.
Allison Bell, Executive Director of Heritage Society. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you, Derek.
All right, we're going to send things over to Tessa now. She is standing by in the dining room with a look at some very important children's books for the summer. Tessa?
Derek, Allison, thanks so much. Okay, so we're going to switch gears here and turn to the world of children's literature. And of course, Juneteenth is all about freedom, right? It's a celebration of that. Here with me, coming back to Houston Life, is Jasmine Washington, our resident bookstagrammer.
Yes.
And you have some great recommendations for Juneteenth.
Yeah, definitely I do. I feel like it's very much important to learn about a history, and why not do it through children's books, because they're kind of like the easiest way, and they usually have a lot of illustrations and a lot of fun facts as well.
Yeah, and Jasmine, you're not just giving out recommendations, you are a local librarian for us.
Yes.
How are things at the Spring Branch Memorial Library right now?
Things are busy. They're definitely picking up. Kids are out of school, families are hitting us up. We have story times going on each week. We have different programs and performers, so it's definitely a busy time for us.
Okay, yeah, I remember my mom would like drop me off at the library in the summer as well. So thank you for your service in this community. But let's get to some of these recommendations. You had some great recommendations for us during Black History Month, and now we're here, Juneteenth, another powerful celebration. What do you have? What do you like? What are you liking for kids?
So right now, the first one that we can look at, it's called They Built Me for Freedom. So this is showing us the history of Emancipation Park, which has actually been here for 150 years. I love its colorful and vibrant illustrations, and I like how it walks us through history from slavery times to celebrations to even like protests within recent years.
Wow, and you know what? It's iconic that we're actually here talking about it. It's such a critical part of history. This is something that you could share with your kid, and then you could even bring them here if you wanted to say, hey, you know that book we read? This is where it all went down.
Exactly.
Okay, and there's another recommendation you have, who I'm a huge fan of, Rhiannon Giddens. I didn't even know she was writing a children's book. I knew she's a Grammy Award winner, worked with Beyonce. That's how I know her. Tell us about this book.
So with this book, Build a House, it's based on a song that she actually recorded with cellist Yo-Yo Ma, and it walks us through the history of this family as them being in the cotton fields, to then finding out that they're free, to then trying to just establish themselves as a family, to build a house and to have a home and have land that they can call their own. And it has a QR code in the back that I encourage people to scan, because with that QR code, you'll be able to hear her singing, and it just adds to the experience of the book as you're able to hear her sing while you're also getting to take in these beautiful illustrations.
She is amazing. So she actually goes out of her way to talk about the history of the banjo, how it is a Black instrument, and I am just fascinated with her voice, her beauty, and everything. So I'm already loving that recommendation. This one is aptly titled Juneteenth. Why did you pick this book?
Yeah, so I picked this one because it's by a local Houston author, Vanjie Garrett. And also because it takes us down into Galveston. We're following a family as they travel down to Galveston to take part in a Juneteenth celebration. And I like that this book shows us through the perspective of the child, them taking in and learning about like the history of Juneteenth, and then being able to participate in like the celebration, in those parades and those dances and that cookout. And then I love at the end how it ties in like the National Negro Anthem.
That's
it's
awesome.
Very beautiful.
That's awesome. Okay, and what is Juneteenth without a little celebration in the kitchen? You have the Juneteenth cookbook here. Why did you pick this one?
So I picked this one because I just recently learned of this one. I think it's a great and interactive way to learn about history by being in the kitchen and to see how much food can play a role in the people's history and culture. And that's what this book walks us through. And I like it that the fact at the end of each of the sections, it also shows you like different activities you can do. So like relay races, building a mancala, and she even throws in like a little cookout playlist as well. So that's always fun.
I love that. Okay, so Jasmine Washington, I mean, if I trust anyone with a book recommendation, it is you. You got your Instagram started just through your passion of books, and you are a librarian in our very own community. So is there anything else, any other message you want to say for Juneteenth? I'm just excited you're joining us. I know our viewers at home appreciate the Rex.
I would just say to keep learning and to keep reading and to search out for any celebrations where you may find them.
Awesome. For more book recommendations, you can follow Jasmine Washington. A Trip Through the Pages is her Instagram. We're also going to connect you with her on our website, HoustonLife.tv. Okay, now we're headed to the barber shop where they say inclusivity and diversity is in their DNA. Lauren Kelly is hanging out. Hey, Lauren.
Coming up next on Houston Life, we are spotting one local barbershop whose diversity and culture all rolled into one is so important for you guys to learn about. More is coming up next on Houston Life. Houston is one of the most diverse cities in the country, and I'm so proud to be a native Houstonian, from its culture to its food to its people. And one of those people who has just dived right into the culture and the diversity here in town is JP Faust, owner of Chophouse Barber.
Hi,
you know
Lauren.
what? I stepped in this place. It gives me such a good feel to spotlight a local business like this. And you've been cutting hair since you were a tiny one, right?
Yeah, since I was 14.
Since you were 14.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your background. How did you get into that?
My brother was going to basketball camp, and I lied and had he let me cut his hair. And it took off from there. I started having folks all at the house, and my mom didn't like that, so I had to become an apprenticeship I got an apprenticeship program with old guys at the barbershop.
At 14, you're cutting your friend's hair or running the business out of your house. Your mom's like, no.
Yeah, exactly. And so by 17, I was a full licensed barber and took on that plight.
Did your mom cut hair? Where did you learn the skill?
It was just something I wanted to do. I fell in love with it, and I was my first guinea pig. I had my 3-way mirror, and I learned how to fix mess-ups on myself. So
that is pretty impressive. Now, I want to talk about just kind of your entire path to opening your business. We're here in Rocheron, and you know, opening a business is a major ordeal, but following your passion, I feel, is something that you have to do, especially listening to you chat about the way you love to cut people's hair.
Yes.
It's something you have to follow.
Yes, definitely. I mean, it's camaraderie, it's everything. I love doing what I do. I love my staff. I love training. I love teaching. This is something that I always wanted to do as a young man, and so to be here now, it's unreal.
How'd you come up with the name, Chophouse Barber?
Chopping it up with haircuts, and then we chop it up with good conversations. We love movies. We always have a movie come on, and we have it on, and we're always talking about movies. We're movie buffs, and we break it down.
You know, speaking of the camaraderie here, I was chatting about how women, when they get their hair cut, we really kind of use our hairstylist as a therapist, but this is a great way for men and fathers and coaches and teachers to come in here and have a safe space to chat with the person behind who's cutting their hair.
That's right. I mean, most guys, no one gets close to them besides their significant other, and so the barber is one of the most impactful person to that, to men. We have a lot of guys come in with great ideas, things that we need to implement. This is a mental health space. We wanted to make sure that we have quality environment. You can bring your wife, you can bring your kids, and that's important for the guys to see that we can raise the bar and standard in our industry.
You had something really, really wonderful happening with DePelchin Children's Center. Let's talk about how you used your space and did a fantastic collaboration with them.
Well, I'm a strong believer in he who thinks he's great serve, and so I always wanted to open up my doors to the community for anything that's worthwhile. And when I was approached with the fatherhood program, I thought it was perfect for the shop. I mean, I'm a businessman too, so it is nice. I have gentlemen come in and that illustrates what type of shop I have, but also to know that we're coming together to deal with mental health and able to talk. And if you were there, you would hear the conversations that men are finally able to have a conversation with. You know, you women have it down packed. You know, you have your girl groups, you guys know how to talk about it and deal with it. We aren't trained in that. And so there's, it was a lot of empathy and sympathy, being able to communicate with each other in that way.
I love that you have this safe space for men because, as you said, mental health is so important, and it's so wonderful that you can open up your shop and just let these guys come on in.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've done it with several events. With the mayor, we've done, here in Iowa Colony, we've done the Iowa Colony Business Roundtable, again, the fatherhood program. And again, anything that serves the community, I open my doors because I ask myself, what do I have to give? And I have a space. And so I'm freely giving that.
Absolutely. Well, JP, you do such wonderful things here. Thank you for sharing your story and continued success with your bar. I know you cut a lot of different hair.
Yes, we do.
Do you cut female hair?
I used to. I used to be a hairstylist, but
I may give you a try.
I'll take good care of you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Lauren.
All right, you guys, if you want more information, HoustonLife.tv. Now let's send it over to Tessa, who's at the Heritage Society.
Sit tight, because next on Houston Life, we are going to actually go inside of the historic Yates home, okay? We've got a lot to see and even more to learn.
Welcome to the Yates home.
It's gonna be fun. Welcome back to this Juneteenth edition of Houston Life. We are inside the Yates House, which was restored, donated, and eventually moved here to Sam Houston Park in 1994. I am here with someone who lived in the house until she was 12 years old. Martha Whiting-Goddard, thank you so much for giving us this special tour.
Thank you. We're going to go into the living room of the house. It's a few pieces in here that were donated by the family. The piano was owned by one daughter, Mariah. The clock belonged to Jack Yates. There are pieces throughout the house that were donated by different different family members.
But when you grew up here, it didn't really look like this. The Heritage Society has really tried to make it the same as the era as when Jack Yates was here.
Right, as it was built in 1870. When the house was moved from over in Freedman's town, it had wallpaper and different doors and things in it, and the Heritage Society took it back to 1870. So they stripped the walls to find out what paint was on the walls, and they repainted the walls, the floors, and then they curated what the room should have in it.
So they really went out of their way to match it with the time period. When you were here, you said these stairs were a little shorter, yes, and it was a good hiding spot when you were maybe hiding from the adults.
They put the steps up higher. In 1928, Pinky Yates, who owned the house after her father died, had the house remodeled, so the steps were shorter, there was storage under here, and so when I was a child we could hide under the steps.
Good spot, good spot. Okay, take us through this next room. Where are we walking to now?
This was the dining room. Jack Yates had 11 children.
Wow.
And so, but only the grown-ups ate in this room.
Okay, no kids table in here.
No, the children had a different room to eat in. But because there were 7 daughters, you know, that means that there were a lot of women's activities going on.
That's some good cooking too.
Yeah, some good cooking.
I can only imagine. I can only imagine. We're going to pass by this room real quick. You said your aunt stayed in here?
Yes, this was Pinky Yates's bedroom. Pinky was a 2nd grade teacher at Gregory Elementary School, who owned the house after Jack, and she willed the house to my mother, Martha Whiting, and her 5 daughters, one of which I am. And so the rocking chair belonged to another Martha, the first Martha, and there's a wash bowl and pitcher over there that belongs to Pinky.
I'm obsessed with that vanity. It's so beautiful.
Well, that's all part of the Heritage Society's collection, and they curated what the room should be like. We have, of course, a sewing machine because all those 7 women were able to sew. There was always a sideboard and a place to put dishes and things in that room. This is the kitchen where most little people, like I was in those days, stayed. We moved in and out because you could run in and outside and play because our uncle lived next door, and so this room has a safe in it to have food when you have to feed a lot of people.
Is this the safe here?
Yeah, that's the safe.
Wow, it's huge.
That's where they would put the food when you had prepare food for lots of people.
Yeah, no refrigeration then, huh?
No refrigeration, right. The ice man would come with a big chunk of ice once a week. And then this stove heated not just down here, but it also heated upstairs. There's all sorts of pots and stoneware that has been donated. And in here you have a washboard and things like that where the work was done, especially when they first opened the house.
Now you guys at the Heritage Society do something from the plantation to emancipation, and this is part of the emancipation part of that tour.
Right. We have a specialized tour that takes us from the Kellum-Noble House, because this was all the Kellum-Noble plantation originally. And so we go from the Kellum-Noble plantation all the way over here to the 4th Ward Cottage to the Yates House. And we have a reenactor that tells us what life was like on the plantation and what it felt like to be a freed person in a house like this.
Which is really what Juneteenth is really centered around.
Freedom.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, you've done well enough that the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization has designated this a site of memory, 1 of 3. Thank you so much for this tour. It's been my pleasure and an honor really to get a tour from you.
Thank you, Tessa.
Hey, happy Juneteenth.
Happy Juneteenth.
Peace and Life. We'll be right back.
Well, that just about does it for this special Juneteenth edition of Houston Life from Heritage Society at Sam Houston Park. Tessa, I don't know about you, I learned so much during this hour. I have passed these buildings so many times, and I had no idea just quite what was inside.
Truly, we drive on these streets, we don't realize how rich our city is in history, and what a historic moment for a historic day, right? So happy Juneteenth, everyone. I hope everyone enjoyed the episode as much as we did.
And please come down and visit the Heritage Society. You can do tours throughout the week. Happy Juneteenth once again. And a reminder, you can watch these segments again on our website, HoustonLife.tv, or by downloading our KPRC2 Plus app. So until next time, thanks so much for joining us.
Happy Juneteenth.